Have you ever wondered why some men, without even trying, seem to live rent-free in a woman's mind, while others, despite doing everything they've been told, fade into the background like they never existed? It's one of those frustrating contradictions in dating. The harder some guys push, the less attention they get, and the ones who don't chase at all, they're the ones women can't stop thinking about. That's the strange, almost unfair reality. And that's exactly what this video is about. The hidden psychological secret that makes any woman think about you non-stop. Not with cheap tricks, not with manipulative games, but with strategies grounded in psychological seduction techniques that ignite curiosity, attraction, and desire so naturally that she won't even understand why she can't get you out of her head. Now, picture this. What if you could flip the script completely? Imagine learning how to awaken desire in a way that feels effortless. Imagine knowing exactly how to make her chase you, instead of you constantly doing the chasing. What would change in your life if you mastered how to create instant attraction the moment you met someone new? This isn't just about dating, it's about identity. It's about finally stepping into the version of yourself that knows how to conquer a woman without losing self-respect, how to walk into a room and be the guy who doesn't need to fight for attention because he already owns it. That's why this isn't just another dating pep talk. This is a roadmap. By the time you finish this video, you'll have tools that most men never even hear about. You'll understand the subtle signals, the signs she is interested that almost everyone misses. You'll discover how to mess with her mind in a playful way that sparks intrigue instead of turning her off. And most importantly, you'll learn how to attract the right woman, the one who aligns with your life and values, not just anyone who comes along. So stick around, because the next few minutes may completely change the way you think about attraction. Let's break down the first shift you need to make. Here's the irony. Most men think being constantly available shows they care. But in reality, it creates the exact opposite effect. Think about it. When something is always within reach, our brains stop valuing it. A man who's too eager, too present, ends up becoming background noise. On the other hand, when you have your own rhythm, when you take your time to respond, when you don't jump every time she snaps her fingers, that's when she starts asking herself questions. And questions create curiosity. Curiosity creates focus. Focus turns into obsession. That's the foundation of how to make her think about you all the time. Let me give you an example. Picture two guys texting the same woman. Guy A responds instantly, never leaves her hanging, showers her with emojis, and basically turns his phone into her personal hotline. Guy B, he's different. He takes his time, not because he's playing games, but because he's genuinely busy, at the gym, with his friends, finishing a project. When he does reply, his energy feels authentic, not needy. Guess which guy she ends up thinking about more? Exactly. Guy B. That's how to be irresistible, by living a life so full that your presence feels like a privilege, not a guarantee. Now here's where the psychological twist comes in. Women don't consciously say, "Oh, he didn't text me back right away, so I must want him more." That's not how the mind works. That's exactly the dynamic you want in your conversations and interactions. End them while they're still fun. Leave her smiling, curious, and craving the next episode with you. That's how to create instant attraction, by mastering the art of leaving her wanting just a little more. And here's where most men sabotage themselves. They drag things out. They think if they keep talking, if they keep texting, if they keep hanging out, the attraction will grow. Wrong. Attraction thrives on anticipation, not saturation. It's like dessert. Too much and you're sick of it. Just enough and you can't stop thinking about the next bite. That's why the men who understand how to attract the right woman are the ones who master timing. They know when to show up, when to pull back, when to give, and when to let her imagination do the heavy lifting. Let's hit pause here. Up to this point, we've seen why availability kills attraction, why curiosity fuels obsession, and why timing is your secret weapon. But that's just the surface. In the next part, we'll uncover how memory triggers, scents, moments, and shared experiences become permanent anchors in her mind. If you thought curiosity was powerful, wait until you learn how to literally hardwire her brain to think about you even when you're not around. Here's the thing most men don't realize. Attraction doesn't just happen in the moment. The real magic happens after the moment, when she's alone, replaying your words, your vibe, the way you looked at her. That's when the hooks sink deeper. And the men who understand how to make her think about you all the time aren't the ones flooding her phone with good morning texts. They're the ones who leave behind invisible fingerprints on her memory, so she can't escape thinking of them. Think about it like this. Every human being has triggers, little anchors that instantly bring a memory rushing back. A song, a scent, a place. You've probably experienced this yourself. You hear an old track from your teenage years, and boom, you're right back in that summer, feeling the same emotions, remembering the same faces. That's not coincidence. That's how the brain wires experiences. Now imagine being intentional about that. Imagine knowing psychological seduction techniques that let you link yourself to those memory triggers in her mind. That's not manipulation. It's simply understanding human psychology at a deeper level. So, how does this look in practice? Let's say you pick one fragrance, not 10, not a whole shelf of random colognes, just one signature scent. You wear it consistently around her. Not so much that it feels overwhelming, just enough that it becomes associated with your presence. Months later, she's walking down the street, someone passes by wearing that same scent, and suddenly her brain fires you. She didn't ask for it. She didn't plan it. That's just how to mess with her mind in a subtle, irresistible way. But don't stop at cologne. Think in terms of experiences. If you want to master how to awaken desire, you need to create moments that are uniquely yours. Inside jokes that nobody else would get. Adventures that only the two of you have shared. Even little rituals, like always ordering a certain drink when you're together, or a silly handshake. Sounds simple, but these things become anchors. Weeks later, when she sees that drink on a menu, or hears someone use that phrase, she'll be thinking about you without even realizing why. That's how to be irresistible, by becoming part of her everyday environment, even when you're not physically there. Let's push this further. Real attraction isn't built on generic experiences, it's built on novelty. Our brains remember firsts. First concert, first road trip, first late-night drive with music blasting. If you want to know how to create instant attraction, stop taking her to the same restaurants every guy takes her. Show her something she's never experienced. Maybe it's a quirky art gallery in your city. Maybe it's hiking a trail she's never seen. Maybe it's introducing her to a new type of cuisine. The point is, when her brain records first-time experiences, it tags them as special, and it tags you along with them. That's how you become unforgettable. Now, here's a little psychological hack most men overlook: nicknames. Not the cheesy, copy-paste ones like babe or honey. I'm talking about unique nicknames that only you use. Something playful, maybe based on an inside joke, maybe on something you've noticed about her that others don't. But years later, even after they broke up, she admitted that anytime she saw that dessert, she couldn't help but think of him. That's the kind of psychological imprint we're talking about here. That's how to attract the right woman in a way that lingers far beyond your presence. And this doesn't just apply to romance, it's human nature. Think about sports. Why do fans stay loyal to their team even when they lose? Because their brain has stacked so many powerful memories: family watching games together, the smell of popcorn in the stadium, the rush of the crowd, that the team is permanently tied to those emotions. You can do the exact same thing with women. If you're intentional about it, you can wire her brain to associate joy, laughter, excitement, and yes, even desire with you. Now here's where it gets even more interesting. If you really want to master how to make her chase you, you don't always have to be the one creating the experience. Sometimes, you plant the seed and let her imagination water it. For example, maybe you mention a crazy adventure you once had, but you don't give all the details. That reminds me of the time I got completely lost in Italy, learned a lesson I'll never forget. And then you change the subject. Do you know what happens next? Her mind starts building stories. She wonders. She gets curious. And curiosity is one of the most powerful engines of attraction. That's how to mess with her mind, by giving her just enough to start obsessing about the rest. And let me be clear, you don't have to be some adrenaline junkie to do this. You don't need to climb mountains or jump out of airplanes. It could be as simple as introducing her to a new song, a new book, a new recipe. For example, imagine cooking a unique dish together. Later on, anytime she eats that dish again, the memory pulls you right back into her mind. Or imagine showing her a powerful book, say The 48 Laws of Power or The Alchemist. Months later, when she sees that book on someone's shelf, guess whose face flashes in her mind?
Exactly.
That's how you build psychological presence. Here's the kicker, these aren't tricks. They're investments. You're not faking, you're not manipulating, you're simply building experiences that have emotional weight. The difference between the man she forgets and the man she obsesses over isn't looks, money, or status, it's who created the deeper emotional imprint. That's why mastering these methods is the ultimate form of learning how to attract the right woman. Because the right woman isn't looking for constant entertainment. She's looking for someone who leaves her feeling alive. And yet, most men never bother to learn this. They repeat the same boring scripts, take her to the same places, text the same predictable lines. No wonder they're so forgettable. But the man who understands this secret becomes unforgettable. He knows how to awaken desire in ways that bypass logic and go straight to the emotional core. That's what keeps her up at night. That's what makes her check her phone hoping to see your name pop up. That's what turns interest into longing. So let me leave you with this thought. What if you could design your interactions in a way that every time she laughed, every time she felt a rush of excitement, every time she discovered something new, your name was attached to that feeling? Imagine the power of being her mental soundtrack, always playing in the background, impossible to shut off. That's what happens when you master these memory triggers. And we've only scratched the surface. Because while leaving an imprint is powerful, the next step is even stronger. Learning how to keep her intrigued by what you don't reveal. There's one thing most men don't get. Attraction isn't about chasing harder, buying her attention, or proving you're the nice guy she should give a chance. In fact, that's exactly what makes her lose interest. The real secret? You flip the script, you make her the one wondering, why can't I stop thinking about him? That's the difference between a man she forgets tomorrow and a man she can't erase from her thoughts. But let's go even deeper. How do you make her chase you? The key is emotional variety. If every interaction feels the same, predictable, flat, safe, her brain stops firing dopamine around you. She categorizes you as just another guy. But when you trigger curiosity one moment, laughter the next, and then create silence that makes her wonder what you're thinking, you're engineering an emotional roller coaster. And humans, especially women, get addicted to emotional roller coasters. That's why certain guys, who aren't even the most handsome or rich, have women obsessed with them. They understand how to awaken desire by giving her something she didn't expect, something she can't control. Let's be real, Women talk about wanting stability, safety, and predictability in a partner, and sure, that matters long term. But when it comes to attraction, stability alone is boring. Desire lives in uncertainty. That doesn't mean you should be toxic or unreliable. It means you should understand contrast. Be solid in your values, but unpredictable in your delivery. For instance, if she's used to men complimenting her nonstop, flip the frame, compliment her ambition, her creativity, or the way she laughs at her own jokes. Suddenly, you're not just another admirer, you're the man who sees her differently. That's how to attract the right woman, because the right one will respond to depth, not superficial approval. Now, here's where the psychological twist really hits. Women are not only attracted to who you are in the present moment, they're addicted to the uncertainty of what you might do next. That uncertainty is what makes her think about you all the time. Will he text me tonight? Why didn't he answer that last question directly? Does he find me irresistible, or am I just imagining it? That loop in her mind, that replaying of conversations, that overthinking of your words, is exactly how to mess with her mind without saying much at all. You're planting seeds that keep growing even when you're not around. Practical example, instead of telling her, I like you, which closes the mystery, you say, you're trouble, but I kinda like trouble. Suddenly, she's hooked. She's questioning, what did he mean? Am I really trouble? Why does he like that? You see what just happened? You gave her a puzzle, and the human brain hates leaving puzzles unsolved. That's why she'll replay your words again and again. And let's talk about presence, because presence is magnetic. You don't need to flood her with words or constant action. Sometimes the most powerful move is silence. Imagine this. She's telling a story, and instead of interrupting, you just hold her gaze, leaning in slightly, letting your smirk say more than words ever could. That's how to be irresistible without even trying. Women are deeply sensitive to energy. When your energy is calm, centered, and unshakable, it screams confidence louder than any flashy pickup line. Another overlooked tactic? Association. Make her connect you with feelings she craves. That's how to attract the right woman, how to make her think about you nonstop, and how to turn the game upside down so you're never again the one chasing. Now, pause for a second and be honest. Have you been giving away too much, too soon? Have you been predictable, safe, maybe even forgettable? Or are you ready to flip the script and step into the role of the man who drives her wild without lifting a finger? Because here's the truth, everything you've learned here is useless unless you apply it.
So go test IT.
Try holding back a text. Try teasing instead of complimenting. Try walking into your next conversation with calm, unshakable presence. And when you see how she looks at you differently, you'll know you've tapped into something most men never figure out. Now tell me, are you ready to stop being the man who waits to be chosen and become the man she can't stop chasing? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because your story might just inspire another guy out there who's tired of playing small. And if you want to keep unlocking the hidden psychology of attraction, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because what's coming next will make everything you've learned here feel like the tip of the iceberg. There's a hidden layer of attraction that most men never tap into, and that's exactly why they keep struggling with women who lose interest too quickly. It's not about looks, it's not about money, and it's definitely not about playing some cheesy pickup line game. The truth is, the men who know how to conquer a woman on a deeper level are the ones who trigger emotions she can't rationally explain. That's when she starts thinking about you all the time without even realizing why. And that's where psychological seduction techniques come into play. They're not manipulation, they're about understanding how her mind connects feelings, curiosity, and desire. If you ever wondered how to make her chase you instead of you always chasing her, this is the path. Imagine this. She's scrolling through her phone, she's got 100 distractions, but suddenly, your face pops up in her mind for no reason. She smiles, feels a little spark, and now she's tempted to text you.
Why?
Because you've planted mental anchors in her subconscious. That's one of the strongest ways to create instant attraction. You want her to connect you with emotions she can't ignore, playful laughter, mystery, challenge, and even that slight frustration that makes her want more. Think of it like leaving breadcrumbs in her mind. Every interaction becomes a seed, and those seeds grow into thoughts that loop back to you. That's how to be irresistible without lifting a finger. Now, let's get practical. One simple way to awaken desire is by mastering contrast. People don't crave the predictable, they crave the unexpected. If you always respond the same way, she can predict your every move, and there's no excitement in that. But when you mix warmth with a touch of mystery, when you shift between playful and serious, when you show her that you're not just one-dimensional, you create tension. And tension is desire's best friend. So instead of always giving her what she wants, sometimes you give her what she didn't know she needed, a little unpredictability. That's how to mess with her mind in a way that keeps her addicted. Think about it like a movie. Nobody loves a story where you can predict every single scene from the first 5 minutes. The thrill is in not knowing what's next. But a man who understands psychological seduction techniques will lean in and say, you know, the most interesting artists were never obsessed with being perfect. They were obsessed with expressing something real. That's what makes art unforgettable.
Boom.
You didn't just validate her hobby, you reframed it into something meaningful. That's how to awaken desire, by making her passions feel alive in ways she hasn't experienced before. That's how to conquer a woman without ever trying too hard. Another strategy? The art of withdrawal. See, most guys suffocate attraction by overcommunicating, too many texts, too many calls, too much availability. But if you can step back at the right moment, you create a vacuum. And nature hates a vacuum, so her mind fills the gap with thoughts of you. That's how to make her chase you. It's not about ignoring her, it's about mastering timing. Think of it like music. A song without pauses is just noise. The silence between the notes is what makes the melody beautiful. The same goes for attraction. The pauses make her lean in. Let's push it further. When you want to know how to mess with her mind in the most irresistible way, it's not about games. It's about rhythm. Be warm, then be unavailable. Be playful, then be serious. Give her a taste, then pull back. This back and forth is what makes her heart race, because uncertainty releases dopamine in the brain, the same chemical that makes people addicted to gambling, to social media, to chasing things they can't fully control. You're not manipulating, you're giving her the same thrill that keeps her engaged. And the best part? She'll never be able to fully explain why you're on her mind, but you will be. And here's the final twist in this block. Attraction is less about doing and more about being. If you try too hard to impress, it feels forced. But when you embody confidence, purpose, and depth naturally, everything flows. That's how to attract the right woman, the one who's not just into the image of you, but into the essence of who you are. Women are incredibly intuitive. They can sense authenticity. So instead of trying to build a fake persona, build a life that excites you. When you wake up every day driven by something bigger than her attention, you become magnetic without effort. That's the real psychological secret. And here's the kicker. When she feels that you're not afraid to lose her, that you're already fulfilled, she invests more.
Why?
Because scarcity creates value. It's the same principle that makes rare gems priceless and mass-produced trinkets worthless. The man who doesn't need validation is the man every woman wants validation from. That's how to be irresistible in the long run. If you found these powerful secrets and want to go even further, here's another eye-opening video you can't miss. Watch to discover the subtle ways women reveal their true intentions and learn how to protect yourself. Click the link and dive in, because the more you understand, the more control you'll have over your love life. Have you ever felt that attracting the right woman seems like a game with rules that no one ever explained to you? Game die question mark. The truth is, it doesn't have to be that way. There is a more authentic, lighter, and above all, more genuine path. Glowing star. If you want to connect with women naturally, without tricks, without masks, just by being yourself, with confidence and clarity, then it's definitely worth checking the link in the first pinned comment.